Alright guys, it's Vivek here. This is a Ayahuasca report submitted by a subscriber called Nobreville. It's really insightful and I think you'll take a lot from it, so yeah, here we go. Hi Vivek, this is Nobreville from Instagram. Here's my Ayahuasca journey. There are a lot of different places that I could start about why I wanted to take Ayahuasca, but the place I feel is more suitable is the fact that I didn't like where I was in my life. I didn't like myself. I had a severe depression that made me wish I had the courage to kill myself every day. I had a brain atrophy when I was born that affected 30% of my brain and was always told that I had autism. The trouble was that once my brain recovered itself, I technically didn't have autism, and the years of struggle with my identity ensued. I had been going to therapy for almost 2 decades, and I just felt it wasn't right for me anymore. The trouble with going to therapy is that you learn to say what therapists want to hear, and don't want to improve yourself. In comes Ayahuasca. I had heard about this sacred medicine for years, but never had the opportunity until the summer of 2021. I made it out all the way to Peru to be with Shipibo shamans. I went through the dieter for about a month prior, and had the intention of getting to know myself, what my purpose was, say goodbye to my grandmother who I never said goodbye to, and how I could be righteous and bring justice. This report is about the second and last time I took Ayahuasca. My intentions was how I could be righteous. How could I bring justice? I felt an extremely strong calling to repeat this intention over and over again, until I was called by the shaman to drink. I had a feeling this was the last day of being who I have been for all my life. I said goodbye and drank. I sat in the darkness for a while when I felt the body high come on. I felt a slithering and rumbling in the pit of my stomach that vibrated throughout my body. The nausea set in. I thought to myself, of course, out of everyone here, I'm going to be the first to vomit. To which I did. As soon as I did, the noise of the jungle and everything around me went mute. All I could hear was the vomiting. I suddenly became very tired, and an entity with what looked like a baby-mobile made of light came to me. He gently pushed my head up against the wall and floated the baby-mobile made of light above me. It spiraled around me again and again, going all over my body, making it vibrate at a high frequency. As soon as it was done, the entity told me to look up, and so I did. What I saw was a row of stars shooting out into infinity. I was awestruck by how infinite the space was. There was no difference between opening my eyes or closing them. Then a voice told me if I was ready. Ready for what? I replied. An entity from the row of stars stuck their arm deep into my soul and took out my anxiety. I released a deep, guttural inhale that scared the other participants around me. Different entities were taking things from my being. My negativity, my anxiety, my depression, my anger. All that wasn't serving me. This kept going on for what seemed like hours, with me repeatedly making deep, guttural inhales and exhales. It turned from the entities taking things from my body and soul to me taking in the pain of the universe and the other participants around me. I was sucking in the pain and exhaling it through my breath. Ayahuasca told me that I was to be a healer and that I will heal those who I come across in life. Then it got frightening. My ego got in the way and suddenly time evaporated. I was stuck in the overwhelming feeling forever and thought, I've done it. I've gone mad and I'm never returning. But just as I was about to go insane forever, a hand tapped on my bed. I opened my eyes to find a space filled with green smoke and a beautiful, kind stranger sitting in front of me with piercing blue eyes. His skin was as white as snow, and he was holding an orb made of soft red light. "Are you okay?" he asked, knowing my name. I nodded. He nodded back at me and told me to focus on my breath. So I went back into it, focusing on my breathing, and I came back to myself. But as soon as I did, Mother Ayahuasca told me I had to die. I asked her what about my family. She said they would be fine, but I needed to die. And so I let go of my family. I asked what about my friends. She said they'll also be fine, but I needed to die. So I let go of all my friends. Then I thought of my girlfriend at the time. She said she would be fine, but I needed to die. So I let go of her, and finally I had let go of everything that was me. I vomited everywhere, and I spread the vomit all over myself and the bed that I was given. I threw the bucket away to signify that I couldn't cling on to anything. All my pain, my memories, my time, love, my likes, my dislikes, all of that disappeared, and I began to ascend to a space of sheer, unimaginable beauty and love. I was walking along the literal road of creation. It was made of stars, colours I had never seen before, and made of pure source energy. I was led to a space made of an infinity of pink lights. All who I knew were souls of people and beings that had passed on. I felt everyone who I knew who had passed on. I danced with them and they celebrated that I arrived. I was the happiest I had ever been in my life. My fear of death completely went away. Mother Ayahuasca came to get me. I didn't want to leave, but she told me I had work to do back in the physical world. As we made it back to my body, she told me a couple of things. I would become a healer. More specifically, my medicine would be mushrooms, and that I would need to work with this sacred medicine. She gave me tons of messages for all my friends and families, about who could take ayahuasca and who couldn't, also giving out other sacred medicines that could work better for them. When we almost reached my body, she called a spirit falcon to pluck something from my brain, and it flew away with my idea of whether I was autistic or not. You are just you. You don't have to think you're one thing or another, she gently told me. She then gently brought my spirit back to my body, and I was finally back in this reality. She said she would always be a part of me now, and that I can't take ayahuasca ever again. She said it would be too much medicine, and that the next time she would see me was when I would finally release my physical form. I finally came back to myself in this space. I felt a hand touch my left arm, and I looked over to see my grandmother who had passed away years before. I cried and thanked her for seeing me. She told me I never needed to say goodbye to her at all. With all of that, since that day, I haven't had depression, suicidal thoughts or anxiety. I'm getting married to my girlfriend, and I will never take ayahuasca ever again. As Mother Ayahuasca said, it would be too much medicine, and I certainly received all the healing I've ever needed.